Scout Troop 42 in Louisville, Kentucky. For my Eagle project, I wanted to do something special and personal to me, but would also benefit others. Fire safety, especially at home, is a very important topic. I wanted everyone to be able to see what the inside of a firehouse was actually like.
Can you all sign in, please? This is just so I have everything in order.
These firefighters actually live and work there for weeks at a time. And seeing it and experiencing it gave me a sense of what it was actually like for my grandfather.
Lead us on a tour of the firehouse?
For those of you who don't know, ex-Major David Urton is my grandfather, and he brought us here today so we can give the kids a tour of the firehouse and see all that goes on inside.
I'm Captain Thomas Campbell. I'm with the Louisville Fire Department for 21 years. Go around, this is the apparatus bay, this is where the equipment is stored. We keep it in a ready position at all times. Morning checks are done, and every day it's gone through and whatever needs to be done and worked on, we do it then, and it's ready to go. Yeah, this is our dorm room, this is where we sleep. 5 firefighters assigned here per shift. This is just where we sleep at night, and when if a run comes in during the night while we're sleeping, the lights come on, and then there's speakers around, they tell us where we're going, and get dressed and get in and go. We run 3 shifts. This is second platoon. Tomorrow will be third, and then it just goes first, second, third. Every 3 days, this group will be here. This is just kind of a make sure this is where we work out. We come in here and try to get a little exercise each day. The guys do it on their own pace, whatever they want. We just do it here.
Whenever there's free time during the day, the guys are allowed to work out or just watch TV or whatever they prefer to do at that time. The fire department, as far as I remember, still requires schooling, not necessarily on physical fitness, but 1 or 2 hours a day of different fire-associated tasks. I don't know, do they still require you to take a physical fitness test?
We take a fitness test once a year, and they're revamping that right now. It's getting a little bit different. They're kind of cracking down on the fitness part of it. So that's once a year. Everybody goes through a fitness thing, and then once a year we all have a medical. We go and have a full medical with everything just to make sure that nothing's going on with each person. This is just another apparatus bay. This firehouse is on an airport. So we've got a crash truck. This is the Louisville International Airport's truck that they leave here for us to use for in case there's an incident with the aircraft. We man that, we check it out each day. This mule is fairly new. We use that for the park and to get access to the wooded area. We had a fire in the woods just a couple months ago, and we used that and it worked real well. But we can respond to that if we need to. The front room up there, that's new. It's we've got washer and dryer. NFPA states that any of your uniforms that are worn on duty need to be washed at the firehouse before we go home. So our turnout gear can get washed in that, and then also our personal gear. Like our clothes that we wear every day, they would rather us wash them here than take it home to our family with whatever we have. We got a kitchen up here. We're here 24 hours a day, so we eat 2 meals. We eat lunch and dinner.
Once a week. The Saturdays are traditionally days that some firehouses will cook chili.
But this is the kitchen. This is where we eat, prepare the food. We buy all our own food. Everybody, the people in the community think that the city buys our food. They don't. We buy everything. They get upset because we take fire trucks to the store, but we have to because that's how we respond.
That's the cook for the day.
Yeah, that's what the cook looks like today. You can start if you want.
This here is a hose dryer. When they make a fire and this cotton hose gets wet, if you put it back on wet, it's gonna mold and mildew. So when they get it cleaned off, they'll stick it in the dryer here, kind of flail it out a little bit so it dries evenly, and then once it's good and dry, they'll put it on the hose dryer.
Years ago, back when he was here, I've driven him many times, and that's all we had to go by was this map. Now we do have GPS in the truck. We've got an iPad which will tell us our route. It tells us pretty much everything. This here is just a room that we can, this is where we can watch TV, whatever guys you would get together here at night, and just kind of, since we're here 24 hours a day, we just, this is where we kind of relax a little bit after, usually after 8 o'clock is when everybody's allowed, we can go to bed, and that's when you guys can stop studying. This is the men's locker room. Everybody's assigned a locker, which you keep extra clothes and whatever you need, showers, toilets, and then we've got another one. It's a female dorm, and their locker room if there's a female assigned. We've got a few of them. None assigned to this house right now, but we can detail them. And that's about pretty much all for this firehouse. What's
the average time for a firefighter to get dressed in the truck?
We are supposed to be turned out, that's what they call getting dressed, on the truck and moving within a minute. That's what they do. And they watch, they keep track of our turnout times. For med runs and for fire runs, they keep track. And once a month they post them, we can look, and then they put bar graphs as, which company's doing better.
So it's kind of like a competition.
Well, it is more of a pride thing. You take pride in doing your job. It's just the way that they can kind of keep track. This is another. This is what we call the Joker stand. It's the radio room. It's years ago they used to monitor the radio. Now we don't have to, unless something big comes in where we'll monitor it, or if there's a problem. But this is where all our radio equipment's set up, and we can, if we have to monitor, we can do it here, or we also got handheld.
Years ago, when there wasn't many phones available, we had a lot more fire alarm boxes where you pull the lever down and it goes off. And why this is called the Joker room is there was a machine that tapped out the location of where that fire alarm box was pulled. In other words, if it was 5th and Broadway, that code might be 535. So it would click out 5, break 3, then 5, and then you knew where to go. So we didn't have the elaborate systems that they have now that allow them to do their job much better and much more efficiently.
This is where my office is, and then the sergeant, this is where we do our paperwork and keep all the study material and things of that nature. This apparatus, it's called a quint. Quint means 5 functions. We've got 2 of them in the city. Most of the apparatus in the city are either an engine or a truck. We've got 8 truck companies in the city limits. Each fire will get 2 trucks. And then there's multiple engines, and each fire will get 3 engines. So you get 2 trucks, 3 engines, and then a battalion chief. I decide as soon as I pull up whether I'm going to lay lines or whether we're going to just do full truck functions. If there's rescue, we will abandon the lines and we'll just go in for rescue to let the next company lay our lines for us. We don't carry as much hose as an engine, but we do have a pretty fair amount of hose on here. 100-foot aerial ladder. It can seat 6 members, but we don't. I don't have a right to 6.
Used to.
We used to. Yeah, we would. I would like to. And the reason for was 6. With a quint was 6. You could have 2 guys laying a line, 2 guys doing interior work, and you can have 2 guys doing exterior work, which is the perfect. That's the perfect way of staffing this truck that we don't ever get to staff.
Once you're retired, you're retired. They don't bother you after that. But there is situations where guys that are off duty will be called in to work. As Captain Campbell said, there are 3 different shifts. So if there's a big fire, 4-alarm fire, 5-alarm fire, then off-duty shifts will be called in to assist. And they ride on auxiliary fire trucks that we have around the city that are available in case there is a large fire somewhere.
Truly, we're on call every day. We can at any time get called in. It's the furnace, like in the fall when you're first firing up furnaces, we get some spikes then a little bit winter months where the furnaces, when it's real cold and the furnaces are working a little bit harder, we get then, and then in the summer, weekends are a little bit busier than the weeks, people out moving around, but other than that, there's just no. Cooking, like kitchen fires, stove, food on the stove, or grease boiling over, burning up in the kitchen, one room or something. They usually don't get. They can get big. That's usually the most common.
Depends on how quick they're called. Usually you can put a grease fire or stove fire out in a matter of minutes. Right. But if the fire department's not called early enough, then that's when things get out of hand.
Run volume, it varies. This truck will do, some days will be 10, 11, 12 runs a day, and then some days, we had a day last week where we went 24 hours without making a run. That's rare, but it'll happen.
Whenever there is a medical emergency anywhere, the EMS and the fire department are called. And since there are more fire trucks available than EMS trucks, usually the firefighters are the first on the scene, and they're supplied with EMTs, and a few fire companies even have paramedics. They can render assistance until an actual ambulance arrives on the scene. So that makes up a good amount of the runs that these guys have to deal with.
Nothing does.
I tell you what messes with me more than anything when I was working is people will have an emergency. Well, not yet an emergency. It'll turn into an emergency. Like, for instance, this guy's basement was flooding, and he knew where the shutoff was for the water, and he knew it was getting high toward the electrical panel. And we walked into the house, this guy sitting there watching TV, and I asked him, I said, why aren't you shutting the water off? Well, I didn't want to go down there and maybe get electrocuted. And I guess he had kind of a point, but here I am doing the same thing that he should have done in the first place. And things like that really get you mad when the civilian population doesn't do as much as they can to help prevent an emergency.
I look at it as if they dial 911, they didn't know what to do, and if we can come, I always say that the fire department is the panic button. There is also a battalion chief assigned here. That's who drives in this car. He is kind of the manager over 5 different stations, 5 firehouses, and all the men there. The captain is in charge of the firehouse and his men, and the captain reports to the battalion chief. When you make a fire or a run, he is kind of the eyes and ears, and he directs the fire scene from outside. The truck captain is the one that goes in, and he's pretty much relaying the information, what he's seeing inside or what he needs, to the battalion chief, which will get him the resources that he needs.
If one of you could demonstrate what a firefighter would look like full of gear.
Now, when the alarm goes off, the firefighter gets into his boots with his pants or Nighthawks, straight down there and pulls them on. Obviously, this protects his feet and his legs. Next, he puts his hood on. That obviously protects his neck, ears, and head. Then his coat, arms and chest. And this is what he gets on the fire apparatus with. Unless things have changed, Tom. Nope. Until they get to the fire scene, he'll not put his gloves on, he'll not put his helmet on, or he won't put his air tank on until they get to the fire scene or an emergency scene to see what it all he's going to need to be wearing. And obviously, if there's a fire, they're going to put their SCBA tank on, which is a self-contained breathing apparatus, and it's done while they're driving. When they get to a scene, they can see if there's going to be a fire. And that straps around their waist and their chest.
This gear that he's putting on weighs probably 75 to 80 pounds. And that's not including the tools. Everybody takes in a tool, whether it be an axe, a hook. Depending on what the run is, it'll be, when I get off, I'll usually tell them what I want them to bring.
Go ahead here, Matt. Okay.
When it is a fire, we'll go to the front door. Before we go in, he will turn his air on. Pulls the hood back over, that protects his ears, and he's fully protected. Put his helmet back on.
And lastly, of course, is gloves. then whatever, like Captain Campbell said, whatever tools or equipment he's going to take, he's ready to go inside with a fire hose, or he's ready to go inside with an axe, or a small ladder, or whatever. But go ahead.
That beeping you just heard, if he was to go down, get trapped, to get his foot stuck, or somewhere where he can't move, just stand still. That beeping will go off. When you hear that first little bit of beeping, that lets him know that he's not moving, he's got to move. If he still doesn't move, that's his warning. If he still doesn't move, then it starts getting louder. And that's how he would find it if he was down inside. Or it might be him, it might be him and his partner. We always travel in twos, there's always two guys together. But it could be both of them. But if they were motionless, that's what's going to bring us to it. We also carry these. These send a signal to a computer that's kept in the back of the district car. And this, once that's activated, it shows his name on there. If he gets in trouble, he can hit the button and put off a signal to that. It's going to tell the battalion chief which member is in trouble. So it's just a couple of different safety features, but they work real well. It's the noise, it gets pretty loud, and you can hear it pretty good if you've got to go and find something.
Still carry the tags, or is that been off?
No, we still got tags too. They're on the board in here, and that's got.
Thank you.
And everybody's got a tag like this. It's got the member's name and everything, and it can be cut open, and inside has got all your medical information. If he was to get hurt, have to go to the hospital, this tag would accompany him to the hospital. They can cut it open. Any allergies or anything he's got, medications, whatever, will be inside this tag, as long as it's been updated.
A little bit of picture of your onboard display.
This will be how our runs will come in. This sits in the truck, and this was the run we made earlier today. Taylorsville Road, it's a medical call, but they will, information that we need, they will list here. So as we're responding, I can be reading this information. There's also a button up here which will pull up a map. This will show me where I'm at and how to get there.
All of us are in this district here, so keep up with
Yeah, we do. I know exactly where he lives. So.
it. Well, he lives right across the street.
Oh, okay. I know exactly where he lives then.
It used to be, like we saw the map over there, if the sergeant wasn't exactly sure, or the officer wasn't exactly sure where they wanted to go, they'd have to go over there, and there's grids on that map, and they check out grid C4, and that's where the street is, and then they hopped on a truck and went. Right here is intakes and discharge gates for the water system. Of course, as Captain Campbell told you, there are fire hose and pumps and a water tank. These big intakes are used to go into the hydrants, and that will give you more than enough water. I mean, 5 inches was unheard of when I came in the fire department.
We carry two pre-connected lines. There's actually 3 because one's split. But pre-connected lines. We've got a hose reel that we use for smaller things. If it's a car fire or anything like that, we always use our 1.5-inch lines. We've got foam. This apparatus carries B foam. Most of the other engines in the city carry A, which is for like papers, woods, stuff like that. We got this. I wanted B foam because of the airport, because I'm more than likely, if my runs are going to be to the airport, I'm gonna need B foam. If I'm on a car wreck, which this truck goes to all car wrecks, I'm going to need B. If I'm overhauling a fire, I'm going to need A foam. There'll be plenty of engines there, and they all have it. So that's why I had them put this one with B foam, which works good. that we have. This is mostly just random tools. This is our rescue compartment. This is where all our rescue tools are kept. It's gotten smaller over the years.
Well, I'll say.
Yeah, it's real dependable.
That generator would have taken up that whole compartment back in 2000s.
We've got some extension ladders, a straight beam roof ladder, just different. We don't have as many as the bigger trucks have because we just don't have the room. There's also a ladder, a roof ladder on the end, on the tip of the aerial ladder.
And this is the steps for the sergeant. The sergeant that also operates the hose lines will operate the aerial ladder as well.
The way I operate this truck is we divide into halves. Me and the firefighter behind me, I call it we're the inside crew, and then my sergeant and the firefighter behind him is going to be the outside. So the more aggressive you are, the faster you can get it put out. But generally, if you can get on them, especially in apartment buildings, you can get on them pretty quick. You can knock them down. If not, they're going to get away from you real fast.
A lot of these apartment buildings and such have connecting attics. So once it gets up into one, it will spread like wildfire, literally, all the way down.
We've got a number of older apartment buildings around here, so it's real critical that we get there quick and try to get a knockdown as fast as we can, or you're going to lose quite a bit of the building. This truck has got an onboard generator, so we carry everything that we need. We've got electric on it, we've got lights, we've got portable lights. It's a toolbox, we've got saws, pretty much everything that we need to cut stuff apart, gain access to things. This is the pump panel. This is pretty much where the water comes in, it boosts the pressure, and then we send it out where it needs to go. The ladder has got a pre-piped waterway, so we can put the aerial up in the air and we can flow 2,000 gallons a minute through that nozzle on the end of the ladder. And these are pretty much, all this is color coded, so if I'm fire with multiple lines, if it's a bigger fire, they start hooking lines. The sergeant can run around and just look like this is yellow. These tags are all color coded. They've got numbers on them too, but when you're running, not really running, but you're moving fast, you can look at, I got yellow, on the other side was orange. I need to charge the orange line. And then he comes over and he pulls these are, it's just a gated valve. It's just a quarter turn valve. That's all these do.
Do you remember your first on scene like fire?
Yeah. I remember my first day. First day on the street, I was assigned to truck 4. We made 3 fires in the same, my very first day on the job, I thought this was going to be a good job. But
I thought just the opposite. I made just a little bitty mattress fire, my first fire, and I didn't have my mask on tight. And a lot of guys didn't even wear a mask back then. But I lifted my head up and smoke just went whoosh right down me. I bet I crawled over 3 people trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
I said, what have I got myself into? But then eventually you learn, and
yeah,
I can't imagine a better job
no.
for myself or for a lot of guys.
Yeah, it pretty much everybody that's doing this job, they like the job. They don't complain. They complain about something, but it's not really about the job. It's just part of the day, just to make it go by. But
And these are your gear lockers, is that what?
yes, this is every person here is assigned a gear locker, and this is just where they keep their. We get 2 sets of turnout gear, and pretty much whatever else. I don't know who this is. One of the sergeant's lockers.
But every day when you come in, you take your stuff out of your locker, put it on the apparatus where it was, and I guess you just take the other guys, set it down beside the truck there, so he knows that he has been relieved.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing me around and
Okay.
telling me what you do around the firehouse.
All right, no problem. glad you guys came by to see us, and this is public, anybody can come anytime, and we like to show little kids, teach them fire safety or just little things.
That's what this project is for. And if you want, everything should be said and done around late May, early June. You can look it up, and I can get my grandma to send you the link. Where are you going to post it? YouTube.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming to visit. Well, and I tell stories about him all the time because he was fussy on what he ate. It had to be just right. I was assigned with him. I learned how to cook from some pretty good guys, and I still don't have Coop's chicken recipe. Nobody's got that. That's never been duplicated, but
Kept that well hidden.
yeah, he did. We tried, but.